안녕하세요. Riding on the Korean wave. Welcome to a brand new week on the Culture Wave. I'm Kwon So-ah in Seoul. Explore with us Korea's culture from all aspects and stay up to date with K-entertainment with a special focus today on K-pop remakes, K-diplomacy, K-food, K-everything. Now we kick off the new week with our co-host Walter Lee joining me in the studio. Hello, Walter.
Hello, Soa, and hello everyone at home. Happy Monday to our viewers. I'm Walter Lee here, back to co-host and give you the daily dose of K-Enter News.
And we're also joined by Arirang's news features reporter An Sung-jin. Welcome, Sung-jin.
Welcome, Sung-jin.
Hello, guys. Happy Monday. Hello to all of our viewers. My name is An Sung-jin, and I'm a news features reporter here at Arirang News.
All right, welcome to you. We're going to start off with K-Enter News today. So, Walter, I heard there's some great news for J-Hope fans.
Yes, massive news for J-Hope fans. I've got a couple of news stories for J-Hope fans, actually. So, J-Hope of BTS has again achieved global success with his latest single, Killin' It Girl, which topped the iTunes Top Songs chart in 61 countries following its release just on Friday, according to his agency Big Hit Music on Saturday. Now, the track claimed the #1 spot in several countries, including Australia, Brazil, Denmark, and France. Now, on both the worldwide iTunes song chart and also the European iTunes song chart, the original and the solo versions ranked #1 and #2 respectively. The music video also made it onto the top 10 YouTube's trending music videos chart in 38 countries. This is including the US, UK, Germany, and also Canada.
Congratulations to J-Hope, but the news doesn't stop there, does it, Walter?
It does not indeed. So on the same day as the release of Killing It Girl, J-Hope was starting to wrap up his world tour with an encore concert titled Hope on the Stage Final, held on Friday and Saturday at the Goyang Sports Complex main stadium. Now, this event marked the conclusion of his tour, which began in February at the KSPO Dome in Seoul Olympic Park. Now, the Friday show coincided with the anniversary of BTS's debut and featured a surprise special guest appearance by two members, Jin and Jungkook. It was the first time the three had been on stage together in 2 years and 8 months. BTS members shared the group performance. Now, what's interesting was that also RM, Jimin, V, and also Sugar were also present, but they weren't on stage. They were in the audience to support the show. So it was actually the first time they were all in the stadium together, but not on the stage. Now, J-Hope's world tour has spanned across 33 shows in 16 cities, drawing a total audience of over 524,000 people.
Well, now the countdown is on because soon we'll be able to see all the members under one roof or on the same stage.
Yes.
As in less than a week now, Suga will also be released from the mandatory military service.
Yes.
Now, Walter, we're going to talk about another countdown kind of now because Squid Game, the final season, is going to be out this month.
Yes.
But what's the latest on it? What news do you have?
Yes, obviously the final trailer for Squid Game Season 3 has officially been unveiled. And this season follows, obviously, the main character, Song Ki-hoon, played by Lee Jung-jae, who returns to the deadly games with a personal agenda. Now, the story also delves into the journey of the frontman, played by Lee Byung-hun, who re-enters the game while concealing his true identity. And of course, there are a lot of challenges along the way. Now, this final trailer ties together the overarching storyline of the Squid Game from Season 1 through Season 2 and into the much anticipated Season 3. As the internationally acclaimed series approaches its conclusion, Squid Game Season 3 will premiere globally on Netflix on June 27th. Not long left to see what finally happens.
Can't wait. Well, thank you very much, Walter, for those updates, and stick around.
Will do.
And now we have our Arirang's news features reporter Seongjin back again, and you're going to talk today about your third episode of your series from Japan.
That's
Very
right.
excited about it, especially because I think we're expecting some mouth-watering footage today.
Oh, I got so hungry preparing for this article this morning. So we know that Korea and Japan are quite close in terms of geographical proximity, which means that they share a similar climate, which also gives room for similarities in cuisine. And for today's article, I went to check out how Korean cuisine has settled and is further evolving in Japan. Where tradition meets taste. From the vibrant colors of 구절판 to heartwarming soul foods such as 된장찌개, the table is filled with Korean flavors. And alongside are similar Japanese dishes. The two countries, Korea and Japan, have come together through nothing more than food. Yoon Mi-wol and Masayasu Yoshihara, two renowned chefs in the Ginza area of Tokyo, have come together to explore collaboration within the realm of cuisine.
So what we're seeing here is a merge of two cultures, Korean and Japanese, coming together through cuisine. Now, if we take a closer look at what the two chefs are doing, Chef Yoon Mi-wol here is making 된장찌개, while Chef Yoshihara is making miso soup. Both use the same ingredient of soybean paste, but with their own cultural twist.
Whether it be the Korean pancake like pajeon and Japanese okonomiyaki, to Korea's mugwort pomuri and sujeongwa desserts, and Japan's kuzukiri, the two East Asian countries find cultural crossovers with their fundamental dishes. To celebrate the 60th anniversary of the normalization of Korea-Japan relations, the two chefs have prepared dishes that shed light not only by their uniqueness, but also by their similarities.
Over the decades, I've seen how Korean and Japanese food share common foundations. While the colors and ingredients might differ, the base is often the same. Among other countries, Japan is where Korean food finds the most resonance.
It's been a long time since Korean food entered the country, and in the swarm of Korean barbecue joints and snack bistros, Chef Yoon has worked hard on rooting Korean food in Japan to show what traditional dishes look like.
I've really worked hard on sharing Korean food in Japan. It's not about saying my food is good. It's about showing that Korean cuisine stands on its own. Though we still have some way to go, I feel like at least 60% of it has now taken root here.
And for Yoshihara, he says that it was a chance to get to know more about Korean food.
I know Japanese food very well, but Korean cuisine was new to me. Thanks to Chef Yoon, I've learned a lot while preparing these dishes. For Japanese people, it's easier to explore the flavors with more Korean restaurants opening.
With Korean food offering a wide range of dishes, it isn't only about spreading awareness of traditions. Over time, it has gone through localization efforts as well. Chef Kang takes a creative approach to his Korean restaurant in the town of Nishiogi-kubo. In a country known for its subtle flavors and minimalism, he served dishes based on seasonal ingredients and tries to differentiate them from the cliché snacks of K-Town.
I present unfamiliar Korean cuisine in a way that feels familiar to Japanese diners. The biggest similarity between the two is that since the seasons are similar, dishes can also resemble each other. A lot of people come here with an initial interest in Korean culture.
And Kang's decades-long efforts have appealed to his customers and regulars.
When thinking about Korean food, I usually imagine bulgogi or yakiniku. It's my first time here, but it felt very new and refreshing. I was glad to try this.
The spicy and strong flavored food in Shin Okubo was all I thought of as Korean food. But here, I liked how it was different with their smaller dishes and formality.
Whether it comes from the exposure to content or the flavorful dishes, Korean cuisine is evolving within Japan's culinary landscape. Korea and Japan already share much history and many cultural elements, and cuisine is not only a testament to this cultural intersection, it also reflects both tradition and adaptation.
Wow, well, that was a feast for the eyes, at least for us here, although you got to taste this food, Seongjin. So you were in Japan to experience all of that, but did you really feel that Korean food was prominent there?
Right, so Korean cuisine was quite easy to find in Japan. I visited 2 different restaurants, or different style Korean restaurants, but both were already well integrated into Japanese society, offering a vast variety of Korean food. But also Japanese food itself is quite commonly seen in Korea as well, right? Whether it be sushi, ramen, tonkatsu, or others. So it really is a cultural exchange between the 2 countries.
Well, talking on that cultural exchange, like how is cuisine an indicator of the spread of culture?
Oh, absolutely. So not only do we have cultural influence like Hallyu, the Korean wave, but content plays a major role in introducing Korean cuisine to Japan. But even apart from that, Korea and Japan are just geographically so close, which makes the spread not only food, but ideas, and also easy.
Well, that makes sense. Well, thank you very much, Seongjin, for that great coverage, and we're looking forward to next week.
My pleasure as always, guys.
Thank you.
And now we're going to move over to our AI anchor, Ari, for other culture-related news. Ari, take it away.
Hello and welcome to your AI guide to the latest cultural updates from Korea. Here's our top story. Illegal distribution of Korean webtoons is spreading rapidly through open chat rooms and closed social media networks, raising alarm across the industry. Fueled by the Korean wave, demand for K-webtoons has surged, leading to a sharp rise in unauthorized foreign language translations. The Korea Copyright Protection Agency says over 70% of illegally shared K-content last year were webtoons, resulting in industry losses amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars, while calls are growing for tougher punishment. Tracking down the elusive distributors remains a significant challenge. James Turrell, the American artist known as the Magician of Light, has opened his first solo exhibition in Korea in 17 years. Titled The Return, the show features 5 large-scale installations, including The Wedge, a new piece from his LED series Wedgework. Also on view are prints, sculptures, and photographs documenting his monumental project Rodin Crater, which observes celestial movements. Speaking at a press event in Seoul, Turrell said the purpose of the exhibition is to offer a piece of light and to convey the experience of light itself. It runs through September 27th at Pace Gallery in Hannam-dong, Seoul. The 2025 Daegu Chimik Festival invites chicken and beer lovers to Doo-doo Park from July 2nd to 6th. Beyond enjoying Korea's beloved chicken and beer combo on a whole new level, this year's event features a water concert, blending music with water-themed entertainment. A dome will be installed at the outdoor concert venue to ensure the festivities continue rain or shine. With performances by popular K-pop artists, visitors can also enjoy a variety of other programs designed to elevate the Chimik experience. So if you're a fan, don't miss out. That's all from me. Stay tuned to the Culture Wave.
If you look at the K-pop charts these days, you might notice a resurgence of familiar melodies and lyrics from the past. Remakes, songs that are reborn through new voices and new style. Why are remakes making an appearance in the K-pop scene again, and what does it mean for the K-pop industry? Let's talk about this with an expert in this field, Bernie Jo, president of DFSB Collective, who is joining us in the studio for a change. Hello, Bernie.
Yes. Bernie. It's good to be in the same time zone, talking in person, in the flesh.
Yes. Well, great to have you in the studio. So, Bernie, let's start off with what defines remakes in the K-pop industry. I mean, also, how is it different from remixes and cover songs?
Oh my goodness. Look, this is a terminology that's often used interchangeably and is often the source of discussion over coffee to arguments over soju. So I'm just going to lay it down, break it down for you, keep it really super simple. Sure. When it comes to remakes, I think the easiest, safest way to describe that is they tend to be a little bit more liberal in the reinterpretation or radical reinterpretation of a song, whether it be the lyrics, the arrangement, the composition. So the safest way to think of it is it's out there. Whereas with cover versions, they tend to be a little bit more conservative and a little bit more cautious tend to be a little bit more of a more faithful rendition of the original version. Again, whether it's the singing style or the instrumentation. And so although they're interchangeably used, they're to really describe the same thing, a newer version of an old song, they're very different. And to answer your question about remixes, whether it's a DJ or a producer, they'll often take the original vocals and the original instrumentation and do something with the song, whether it's make it faster, slower, or make it darker, lighter. But the end game is to somehow make that original song maybe a little bit crazier, sexier, cool.
Yeah. All right, and now we're seeing a lot of remakes in the charts, as I mentioned before, from IU to 조재즈. So why at this point do you think remakes are back?
Well, you know, I think right now it's not like a sudden appearance of remakes. I think in many ways there is a bit of a slow burn sort of approach to this. For one, as we all know, these TV audition shows, yes, there were a lot of boy band and girl band audition shows that did some covers, both local music and foreign music, but older audiences fell in love with trot. Trot in some ways became almost like the new punk because it was such a radical kind of counter-programming to, you know, the boy band, girl band dance music thing, that trot had this resurgence. Now, trot's become mainstream, so obviously audiences and TV networks are looking for the next big thing. Turns out throwbacks to way back is the new thing. And in many ways, as much as we just mentioned IU, and we're probably going to talk about 조재즈, in many ways the market was already kind of sort of prepared by, I'm just going to mic drop at the moment, is Rosé, Bruno Mars collaboration, 아파트. The reason that song was such a huge hit, obviously it was a great song, but it triggered something in people because it reminded people, especially at my age, of a classic 80s hit called Hey Mickey from Tony Basil.
Right.
And, you know, again, it was pretty obvious that it was sampled, but because the samples were redone, but more importantly, that original artist was credited, there's a new word we all need to know, interpolation, but which is another kind of sort of form of a remake. And because that song just became such a massive worldwide hit, not just in Korea, across Asia, beyond Asia, worldwide, the market was already now accustomed to this idea and this concept of remakes. And so when IU and 조재즈, I mean, they're currently both holding strong on the top 5, remakes all of a sudden has become the hot topic.
I definitely agree with you there, and it does remind me of, yes, Mickey, which was a very popular hit. Even when I was in high school, we used to sing it all the time. But how common are remakes in the international music industry, do you think? And do you think there are any differences between, let's say, the approach of K-pop in that way?
Yeah, I think, you know, for me, remakes is always a beautiful tribute. And so, for instance, I think the first place we often see remakes is in live concerts. Usually, if you want to get that superstar surprise guest appearance, it's always good to kind of sing the song of that favorite artist. You know, just not too long ago, Bruce Springsteen, a legend in his own right, he did a cover of a Beatles song, and lo and behold, he called out Sir Paul McCartney. Taylor Swift, she's known to do the same thing. You know, she did a cover of a Robbie Williams song, Angels, and lo and behold, from the bottom of the stage, Robbie Williams appeared. And we're starting to see that also in K-pop. Not too long ago, Boa was a headliner at the Weverse Con Festival, and 2 of her hube, junior female singers, or I should say girl bands, Illit and 50/50, they did these beautiful tributes to Boa, who was the headliner, and at the time she was celebrating her 25th anniversary. What I would have loved to have seen is right now, currently, the SM Town World Tour is going on, celebrating its 30th anniversary. And although all these artists have all these hits, what the highlight is, and you can only kind of see it bits and pieces on social media, is there are about a dozen big SM hit songs that are sung by other artists within the SM roster, and this has created a lot of buzz and excitement. What's different, I think, about the K-pop style remakes versus, say, international music, Western artist remakes, is that it's less professional and more personal. And what I mean by that is I'm not talking about artists being incredibly messy and sloppy. If anything, they're very respectful. Usually when an artist in the West wants to do a remake, it's a business transaction between producers and publishing companies. You get the permission, you go to the studio, record it, you're off. In Korea, whether it's IU or JoJazz, the remakes are very personal in the sense that, for instance, with IU, she personally reached out to each of these artists because she has admired them for many, many years. And then these particular artists also found ways to either be part of the production and definitely part of the promotion. And so when these new versions that IU put out were very personal in a great way. The JoJazz, I think his story is part of the reason why his rendition, his version of the Da Vinci song is such a hit, is how that remake came together. He apparently met the original producer at a bar and was doing cover songs and versions. And the original producer was so moved. He's like, we got to record this. We got to release this. And that song quietly got released in January, about 5 months ago. And fast forward to now, it is now a top 5 song, and it has been holding strong in the top 5 for almost the past 5 months. And so I think the K-pop remakes are very personal.
I guess those personal stories do also really resonate with the listeners.
Yes, I do agree. And you kind of did answer my next question, but I want to kind of twist it a little bit. Nowadays, remakes involve a complete rearrangement or reinterpretation of the songs. And sometimes they can either go north or south. Sometimes they can do really well, or sometimes you always compare, obviously, with the old one. And, this is not as good as the old one, or this one's much better. It really does depend. What's your assessment of the latest characteristics and trends of the remakes?
Well, again, I think what comes through, and I think this is why it resonates with fans, both old and new, is authenticity. You can not only hear, and if you're watching the music video, see, but more importantly, feel the respect and the tribute. And it's a very delicate balancing act in terms of wanting to be somewhat faithful to the original, but yet be unique as well, so that you have your own little stylistic stamp on it. And so far, the artists that are doing very well with the remakes have figured out what that balance is, what that secret sauce is. If they can bottle it, I think we're going to see more remakes, but for the time being, it's working incredibly well for these two artists. And again, I think when we look at IU, she has had a series of these remake albums. You know, right now when she just dropped her latest one, this is the 3rd tribute album she's put out, and you know, all 6 of the songs on that EP all charted. And so I think you know, she has figured out a way to really resonate with audiences with respectful tribute songs, and it feels very genuine, feels very authentic. And again, she has figured out a way to not only satisfy her fans, but the original artist fans, and more importantly, new fans.
Now, I guess as you just mentioned, remakes are popular among the older generation. I want to be careful with saying older generation, but older and younger generation. So what do you think this generation connection, how does it affect the consumption of K-pop?
Well, you know, I think right now, and again, I think I mentioned it before, it's counter-programming. Just generally, if you see or hear more of the same, and more of the same, it turns out people have an appetite for something different. And so I think this surge, or resurgence, I should say, of remakes is really a response to the market trend where there's such an oversupply and maybe perhaps an oversaturation of teen idol dance music, be it boy bands, girl bands, or the solo or subunit efforts of these boy bands and girl bands, that perhaps audiences and fans and consumers wanted a change of pace. And I think the remakes in many ways sort of kills 2 birds with 1 stone, in the sense that you bring back something familiar but put a fresh twist to it. So obviously it still stays within the realm of K-pop, but in many ways goes a bit wider, broader, deeper.
I'd love to talk to you about this all day, Bernie, but just quickly, are remakes more targeted at the domestic market, do you think? And how has the response been from overseas K-pop fans?
That's a great question, and I think it's a tough question because, truth be told, I think it's still early. One of the things that sort of fascinated me last year was IU, who many people obviously consider very iconic in Korea. She had a sold-out world tour, and I think in large part that was due to the fact that, you know, many of her fans knew her from her acting and fell in love with her music. And because Korea is such a hot spot right now in terms of music, I think overseas fans are naturally always curious as to what's hitting, what's trending in Korea. And because these songs are surging, There's curiosity, and I think what's helped in many ways is something as boring as mundane as metadata. I'm throwing out another technical term out here today. But essentially, what's interesting and more importantly different about these re-releases, remakes, is the titles are now also known by the English translation titles, so that the original fans will still recognize it, but the new fans now know these classic tracks with English titles. And that is very much an outreach to reach out to overseas fans to not only discover, but more importantly, fall in love with these songs.
Right.
And finally, Bernie, what are your prospects in regards to remakes in the K-pop industry? You mentioned before it's probably going to continue, right?
Yeah, I mean, as much as we want to think it's a collision or a convergence of coincidence, there are some, creatives in the industry who feel that there's something to it. I had to write this down because it was something that caught my attention recently. But right now, there's a very interesting project called High Color. And what they're doing is they're commissioning remakes of classic 90s songs with contemporary artists. And right now, in April, I believe, there was Volume 1, where they had an up-and-coming R&B singer do a remake of a Kim Hyun-jo classic. And then just a few weeks ago, one of the members of Brown Eyed Soul, he just did a cover or a remake of a Solid track from the 90s. And this particular series is going to continue releasing classic song remakes with contemporary K-pop artists. And so I think we're going to start seeing more, but it's not going to be coincidental. I think many believe that there's some gas in this tank, and they're fueling hopefully more chart hits.
All right, looking forward to all of that. Thank you very much, Bernie, for your insights today and also for joining us here in the studio.
Thank you, Bernie.
Likewise, thank you.
And thank you, Walter, as always. We're going to see you back here tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you for spending the past half an hour with us on the Culture Wave. Please join us again tomorrow on Tuesday at 2 p.m. Korea time and maybe one day here in Korea.